Welcome, everybody. Welcome to another one. Thank you for tapping in. Good morning. Top of the morning to everybody. Grand Rising. If you're just tapping in, please hit the like button. Also share. And if you're not subscribed to the channel, please go ahead and subscribe to the channel. For those of you that's already subscribed to the channel, there's no words that can express how, grateful I am for your support and thankful I am for your support, your kind words, your encouragement. Means the world to me. I can't say it any better. We here on another one. We on part 14 of my prison journey. I really hope you're enjoying it. Put something in the comment section. Let me know what you think. We got a lot more we gotta go over. So let's get started, man. Let's get to it. Right now I'm in Lehigh County Prison, Allentown, Pennsylvania, and I'm kind of going through the process of preparing for trial for possession with intent to distribute heroin and also possession of a firearm by a convicted felon. In addition to that, I'm also charged as an armed career criminal, which unfortunately carries a mandatory minimum of 15 years in prison, maximum of life imprisonment. So anyway, now we up to the point where, my lawyer filed the last two motions. And of course, they all got denied. I filed, I believe it was 7 different motions, 7 or 8 if I'm remembering correctly. And every last one of them were denied. It doesn't mean, that you're going to lose the case. It just means that the evidence that you were trying to get suppressed so that the government can't use it at trial, this evidence now is going to be permissible to use at trial. So it makes, the case a little bit tougher. But, in my mind, they don't have anything recorded. No video surveillance, no phone conversations recorded, no nothing. No mark money. All these different things. A lot of us watch, these cop shows, Law and Order, Forensic Files, whatever we watch, right? We kind of get the understanding that, you got to have some form of evidence, concrete evidence to kind of tie somebody, especially to a narcotic sale. You want to have some mark money. You want to have the conversation recorded. In my case, the confidential source used the police officer's phone to place the call to me. Why that call wasn't recorded is beyond my comprehension. But nonetheless, I'm happy for that. Because, hey, man, look, you don't have anything, as far as I'm concerned, that's sufficient enough to convict me. So, we also went and had one hearing, I believe it was a week before trial, to redact some of the statements that this female made when she went to the grand jury and spoke with the grand jury. Obviously they didn't want the part in there where she invoked her Fifth Amendment right to remain silent and not, answer any questions that may incriminate them. They wanted that out of the grand jury testimony that was going to be presented to the jury. Obviously, me and my attorney, we wanted to fight that. We was opposed to that. We was like, no, if they're going to hear the grand jury minutes, let them hear the whole thing. Don't chop it up to, to fit what what you wanted to fit, because you looking to secure a conviction. No. Let them hear the whole thing so that they can make a sound decision. Well, obviously, this is the government we talking about here, family. So there's no fair fight. You know how we are. We might be in the hood and, family member get into a fight. We kind of jump in because ain't no fair fights. Well, that's kind of the way they think. There's no fair fight. So that That was granted to the government. And then I think the following day we had, or it might have been the same day before we actually picked the jury. Now, picking the jury, mind you, I'm in Allentown, Pennsylvania at a county jail there. I got to go all the way to Philadelphia to pick the jury. Now, in this instance, there is no staying overnight at Philadelphia. It's pick the jury, following day, trial commences, begins, right? I just happen to have the slowest judge in that district. You know, the Eastern District of Pennsylvania. I had the slowest judge. My jury selection took close to 9-10 hours. That's extremely too long. So the jury selection is, you know, a lot of people get the misconception that the jury selection is, man, you know, I want her. Okay, you got her. I want him. No, it doesn't work that way. The jury selection is you get a pool, you know, the government and lawyer as well. We get our own list and we kind of strike. We get a certain amount of strikes. The government gets a certain amount of strikes. What I mean by strikes is this jury right here, we striking them off the jury pool because you're going to get information, not a whole lot of information about that juror's personal life, but you're going to get some idea about this jury's thinking in relation to the case, because before you pick the jury, they have what's called void questions, meaning these are questions that they ask the jurors. Example, how do you feel about drugs? Do you feel that you can be partial and just in making a decision in a case like this? Have you ever worked for law enforcement? Do you know anything about this present case? You get the point? So these are the questions that they ask them. And based upon, and their occupation, obviously, based upon their answers, you know, both the government and myself and my attorney, we can make somewhat of a sound decision on whether we believe this person should be on the jury for my case. So, you know, you get a certain preemptive strikes and whatnot. I can't remember the exact. I believe if I remember correctly, the government gets 10 and we get 16, or vice versa. The government gets 16, we get 10. I have to look that up in my paperwork in the jury pool and things like that. I have it all documented in the transcripts for that hearing. I just got to kind of look it up. It's been a long time since I went over any of that, family. God excuse me. But anyway, so we going through the process. We chopping this person now. We, you know, because you might strike a person, bang, but you hoping that, man, the government doesn't strike this person because you kind of want to have a person like this on your jury pool, particularly young guys. We had I had two young men on my jury. One was he owned a car detail shop. One owned a music studio. So it's like, hey, music studio, kind of shift that to rapping. Maybe he can understand the drug world a little bit. He can be a little more compassionate. I mean, I'm keeping it real. This is how I'm thinking. I'm not thinking in terms of being politically correct. I'm trying to beat the case, family. I'm trying to get out of here. I'm not developed yet into doing things positive. I'm still, what we would say in prison terminology, I'm still in destructive mode mentally. So I'm trying to get out by any means necessary. So when I see somebody like this, young in their 20s, you know, owns a recording studio, another one owns a car detail shop, I'm thinking, okay, he putting rims on people's car, you know, putting stereo systems in there. He kind of, you know, he might be in tune with the hip hop world. You never know. So strangely enough, the jury didn't strike them. So they end up making the cut. Now they on the jury, and there's other ones that didn't make it as well that I wish that didn't make it as well that I wish would have made it. But, thanks to the government, they got rid of them. They strike them all. So, to wrap this one up here, let me tell you this story here. So now we finished about 7:30, if I remember correctly, at night. So mind you, when the marshals came to get me from Lehigh County Prison to take me to Philadelphia to pick the jury, they only brought one lunch bag. And for what it's worth, I'm gonna keep it real. These bags wasn't like your normal, what you would normally think a lunch bag will be in prison. A bologna and cheese sandwich that has no mayonnaise, no nothing, just a straight choke sandwich. No, this was a nice tuna fish sandwich with the lettuce, the tomatoes, and all that type of stuff. Little bag of chips, and a nice juice. Not healthy, but a nice juice that you normally wouldn't see a prisoner getting. So they brought me, the lunch bag. I took my lunch break earlier, throughout the day, ate my lunch. So now it's 7:30 at night. And, I'm telling my lawyer, like, man, I know when I go back to the prison, they already done gave the last meal dinner. So what am I supposed to do? So he like, all right, he called the marshals over to the desk. He said, listen, my client, he didn't have no dinner or whatever. So the marshal like, oh, don't worry about it. We're going to stop somewhere anyway and get something to eat, or we'll get him something to eat. We probably order some pizza on the way back. We'll stop somewhere. So I'm like, ooh, okay. I'm kind of liking this. So on the way back, he stopped at McDonald's drive-thru. So, at the time, I don't eat beef now, beef or pork. But at the time, I was eating beef. So, pulled through the drive-thru. He like, hey, what you want? So I'm like, damn, I'm kind of looking at the menu, catching a brain freeze because I can't believe that they driving me through a drive-thru to get some real street food, family. Like, come on, man. Let's keep it real. That's like an impeccable feeling. Like, damn, I'm really about to get some real food. So I said, you know what? I made it easy. I picked the number one. Number one is a Big Mac, fries, and, a drink. So he was like, what size you want? I said, you can get a large, He said, that's all you want? You want one or you want two of them? I said, hey, give me two. You know what I mean? So they get it. They pull over after they pick the order up. They pull over in a little parking spot. They get out. They open the back door, the sliding door, where I was at in the back of the little van. And they said, look, only thing we can't do is we can't take the cuffs off. But, I was cool because, I'm cuffed in the front, so I could, look, man, make it happen. So I'm like, man, that's fine. I got it, So I'm eating the fries. I eat the burger. You know what I mean? I eat the one meal. It crushed me. I'm finished now. So now we get to the prison. We inside the little garage before they take me actually inside the reception part of the jail. So I tell them, I said, listen, do you have another bag that I can put this in? I don't want to walk in with a McDonald's bag because they might take it from me. So they happen to have some extra brown bags. He transferred everything to the regular brown bag. I brings it in. They tell me, yeah, this is dinner for. They say, oh, no problem. Go to my cell. You know what I mean? I got a cellie. You know what I mean? He's a white guy. You know what I mean? He was only in there for, I believe, public drunkenness or something like that. Something where he was only gonna do like a week or so, and he was getting out. So open the cell, boom, let me back in. He in there watching TV. So he like, hey, what's going on? How'd it go, man? I said, man, it took mad long. So I was like, man, you hungry, man? He's like, yeah, man, a little bit, man. I said, man, you want some McDonald's? So he's like, McDonald's? I'm like, yeah. I gave him the bag. He's like, McDonald's here? He opened up. He's like, what the hell? Man, how you get McDonald's? So I'm telling them, they stopped and got me McDonald's. But I seen how this guy was looking at me. He was looking at me like, McDonald's, how you got the marshal stopped and got you McDonald's, man? Man, you might be informing or something like that. You know what I'm saying? Because how you pull that one off, and then for the next day or so, he kind of like, his energy was a little off, like, because he thinking like, man, this dude might be informant. Like, and he don't have nothing for me to jump on his case, but he's in there for public drunkenness. But anyway, I had to, pull him up on that. I said, man, when we locked in, I kind of, pressed upon him like, man, you good? Everything good in here? He was like, yeah, I'm good, man. I said, man, you been, energy been a little off. What's going on? He said, no, man. Look, Sally, everything's good. He said, the only thing, I'm not gonna lie, I was a little throwed off when you brought the McDonald's, because I wasn't sure. Like, I never heard. I said, yeah, I kind of figured that, man. But I said, we men, you could come in and question me about anything. So I broke it down for him on how that came about, how I got the McDonald's. He was like, oh, okay. I ain't want to have to, what I mean? Like, I ain't want to have to, I ain't want to have to do that. So I got that out the way, had a conversation with him man to man, and we was back on good terms, you know what I mean? So anyway, family, that's it for this part right here. And we gonna save the rest for the next part where the trial begins, and we gonna, go through some little details and things like that, and we gonna keep pushing through this, man. Thank y'all so much for tuning in. I know sometimes I might miss a day with dropping a video. It's not intentional. Please forgive me. Please forgive me. I be so busy sometimes, trying to put the pieces back together with my life, and sometimes I may get a little off course a little bit, not in a bad way, but and I got to think about my family right here too, man, because y'all is supporting me, and I thank you so much. So go ahead and hit the like button, also share, hit the notification bell. And if you're not subscribed to the channel, I really don't know why. Maybe it's something you can share with me why, but go ahead and subscribe to the channel. It's going to help me. And I guarantee it's going to help you, because the information I'm going to be sharing on here coming down the pipeline, I'm confident that it's going to be beneficial to you, your family, your loved ones, as a whole. So with that being said, I'm going to leave as I always do. Remember, always remember, and never forget this, and take it to heart, that your potential for greatness is truly unlimited.